Okay. For all the viewers and listeners who didn't see last time, let's introduce yourself, please, for us. And I'm going to tag some people while you do that. And if anyone
Alrighty,
watching wants to tag or share, that would be great. Thank you so much.
please do. I choose to be in support and empowerment and ignite whoever's watching today. That's my job, to ignite the truth inside of people and between people as one global family, and to spark people into their divine service and gifts. And I do that with words, so working with people one-on-one, as well as giving occasional workshops and speeches. And I also use film to do that.
Okay.
Film, whether it be all kinds of media, from the internet to TV, to big screen stuff, whatever serves the purpose, whatever is going to serve the right the most potent outcome. So making media that is really igniting that truth and sparking that transformation within people and in communities. And
please go on.
Well, that was it. I was gonna, in case you were still tagging, I was gonna keep going with something else.
No, I want to hear a little bit more about how you came into. Hi, Angie. Hi, David. Hi, Darby. Hi, Alan. Hi, Christy. I want to hear a little more, please, about how you came into these gifts, like how you came into these one-on-one sessions with other people, coming up with what you were supposed to do and how that was supposed to work when you knew you had these kind of spiritual gifts to share, versus, this is just something that's happening to me, and I know a lot of your energy to me has to do with transcendence and empowerment. And I think it's really beautiful. It's like really actualizing that indigo energy into a really like high frequency space. I think that's really incredible. So thank you for all the work that you do. Really special being. So I'm very honored to have you again.
Thank you. Yes.
Yes. So, how did you get involved in being able to use this type of media to get your point across, or to do the shifting or the work or the transmutation that you do? And then also, how did you come about it? Like the first question. So it's two questions.
Yeah. I've been involved on and off with leadership and personal development since college. I was afforded to be in a really great special couple programs that were unique at the time, and was able to do a lot of big things even at that time period. And I took that understanding and lived in a bunch of different continents, learned a bunch of languages, and really understanding other people's languages and being able to relate with them was and is so revealing, especially when they don't speak your language, because that's essentially what so much of communication and interpersonal work is about, is creating that bridge of understanding.
Right.
And when you have 20 words in your vocabulary, you got to be understood.
Yeah, get pretty creative. Yeah.
You get to be a watcher of cues, and you use your sensitivity and intuition a whole different level.
Right.
And it wasn't until I had my first sort of clear, it was more of an internal vision at the time, an internal call that like, you know what, this is great, living and working in different countries, and but this is probably something I really called to do right now. And that investigation led me to return to the United States, went to New York, and I began my entry into the world of dramatic acting. I've been in front of the camera doing different things, but this was
you just told me you're from New York, right? So you went back kind of home to New York.
Yeah. I lived East Coast in the South and different places growing up. And so was it like going home? In a sense, still had a lot of family there. However, my birth family had moved on by that point, moved south. So but in a sense, it was really interesting because I'd been gone for 8 years, and to just reacclimate to life easy, supposedly, because I no longer require any visas, no longer require learning a new language, and like understanding how the culture works and society works, which I enjoyed. However, it's certainly a lot of energy went to that. And then I was like, oh, I'm here, and this is going to be great because I'm afforded all of this ease, and I'm on my mission. So life is going to be real, maybe simple, but very graceful. Not the case at all.
That's always.
Yeah, I was envisioning the men and women I knew at the time who had lived their spiritual vocation, and their lives were like that, simple. They're more in the space of faith-based sort of stuff, and it was, or NGOs, and they were just, it just kind of seemed that way. And then I realized, wow, this is what the heck is going on. After a little while, rough and tumble in New York City, went out to LA to continue the dramatic work, and began to get behind the camera, noticing that that's really where the opportunity is to send a message. An actor on the stage is in charge, although it's somebody else's words. But in film, the writer and then really the director are the ones in charge. So you're just kind of fulfilling a role. And if I was to use this as a conscious medium at some point, at the time it was some point later, then it would be great to learn how it works on the other side. And there's many more roles on, in that area, producing, directing, writing, and bringing this to light, these pieces to the world. And it just was a gradual ascent and a really deepening of understanding really of myself. Like, I was good at helping people with business stuff, startup, leadership, communication, presentation, vision, values, and all that. But it all really came from here. It was only with the deepening of my spiritual work that gave me more progressively more access to myself, and then the dramatic work as well, and the acting work, access to myself, access to listening, feeling from my intuition, my sensitivity, and really sensing what was going on, instead of like my old steamroller train, like get on it, like drop into a new country, gotta learn all this stuff, gotta make it happen. Being more of balancing my masculine and feminine energies, and listening. I was perceiving what was going on with my third eye, in addition to my normal eyes, and etc. So it was a slow progression, and I continue to do management consulting and leadership work and things like that, and slowly began to integrate the spiritual work, whether it be meditation or something energetic, to eventually to really working in, like, what are you really doing here at this company? What are you really doing here with this project? Not it's wrong or right, but saying, like, what's it really for?
Like, what's it about? Where's your intention truly? Or like, what's your heart asking for?
Exactly.
Maybe something like that.
Movie analogy, like what scene is this in the movie of your life? And finding everything that one does. And, slowly began to open my abilities, and came into some either additional modalities, a lot of new modalities that enabled me to help people on a far greater level, and also integrate that, as I see film as the medium, to be able to do that as well, touch people in a very profound way, or at least plant the seed for that to happen, for someone else to bring them along, or for them to open up to. So I can say it's just a life of commitment, fun and adventure, like taking life as an adventure. Yes, adventuring on the outer, but adventuring on the inner, and taking all the bumps and ups and downs on the roller coaster as an adventure, as opposed to things going right or wrong. And a commitment to serve our people, our planet, a higher power, and to do my part in the transformation. And I welcome still now how much more I can learn and grow and remember, to help people and to expand in even greater and more joyful and loving way.
Beautiful, beautiful. And you and I met when we did the gratitude group with Honey, which was something like, it was a while ago now, maybe 5 years or something crazy like that. I don't know, 3. It was a
Something
while.
like that.
It was a minute. Not a New York minute. Yeah. Now, when did you meet Honey? Because that's my connection to you, so that's why I ask. like
Yeah.
just for my own timeline.
Yeah, it was before that, obviously, maybe
Yeah, of course.
years ago. Like, it's
It's
astounding.
hard to like.
Her brother lived across the street from my house in
Oh,
LA.
that makes so much sense. I got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's how
So
it happened.
yeah, she was my neighbor when she was in town in LA for
Cool.
months.
So she was like, "Oh, this is like someone. This is my star family. Like, I know this person. Like,
Yeah, at the
really?
time
Yeah.
that I was just like there was big shifts happening in my awareness opening up. So I
Uh-huh.
was what for me, I think she recognized. She told me that she had a recognition of me, but I was still
Oh,
a little
me
bit
too. I was like, "What are you talking about?"
like, all right, I'm up for anything. What's going on?
Okay, yeah, that sounds cool. That's fun. Yeah, me too. That's hilarious. Yeah, she was like, and I knew, and I realized that we were sisters, and we were a star family, and yada yada. And I was like, that is amazing. I was like, I'm so lucky. Like, but that sounds like totally like out of my complete realm of consciousness that I could even understand. And then, one thing leads to another, I guess.
There you go.
Next thing you know, you're in the gratitude group
Exactly.
doing QHHT and whatnot.
Yep,
So did you do a past life regression?
I did.
How was it for you? Did you do it with Honey, the QHHT, or did you do it
I've done a
elsewhere?
couple of different things.
Okay.
With her was the most profound one, and at the time I was still again in that. Even though it had been a little since I met her, I was still in that expansive phase. So I was
Sure.
in those types of scenarios. It really helps. It depends on how much one is able to allow the process to occur and allow things to come through. And so I was a little bit. I was holding on still.
Mm-hmm.
So a little halfway. I was kind of halfway. So now it would be a different
I get
experience.
it. Uh-huh. Totally get it.
Was just to have had come through what it did was a big blessing in seeing, oh my gosh, like I am wired to spirit and to the field, and it can come through me. And that
What
was
did you see? What did you experience as your other dimensional or past life?
yeah, it was more choose to remember the actual past space was we went pretty quick.
Okay,
We
it was
more
more the channeling of higher self that was
That was
impactful.
more,
Sorry to
yeah, that
interrupt
was
you.
more, exactly. That was much more profound.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you remember it? Do you remember what like some of the bigger points were of it, or was it sort of just laying out your life purpose a little bit more, your light path, if you will?
My impression that I remember was, as I've been describing, just that this is ongoing and that I am connected in, and
Mm-hmm.
and it might have reaffirmed some things that were going on. I've been blessed to have been able to try and do a lot of things at once. So
Mm-hmm.
people sometimes ask me, well, what about this? How did that impact? I said, well, that has a good impact. At the same time, I was doing this, and
Me
this.
too. Me
And
too. So I'm like, I can't really point the finger at one
like, okay,
thing.
was this? However, that's how, for me, that's how I've enjoyed, whether it be
It's so great.
languages or modalities of art or helping others or in
Mm-hmm.
business, like understanding more different subjects and then finding where they meet has
Yes.
been the key to
Yes.
my growing expansion understanding
I
and
love
being
that
able
so
to
much.
accept and really utilize what's coming through in any situation. And everything
Mm-hmm.
is painted with some perspective by a person. So does it, no one, in my opinion, has the corner on the truth. It's, take that and say, okay, there's something there for me. And let me compare that to what I'm seeing in my other experiences and what I feel inside. And then somewhere in the middle is, how I'm going to step forward or what I'm going to
Yeah.
do forward.
I love it. I love it. So, it's funny that yesterday I spoke with Darius. I don't know if you had a chance, if you know Darius, who's also was introduced to me by Honey. And he and I spoke briefly at the end about, he brought up dark magic.
Mhm.
And it makes me laugh because we had like kind of rescheduled, and we were referring to some of the things that like you and I may have been alluding to in some ways when we got cut off last time. And so it's just really funny that like it was kind of like, okay, let's reintroduce the subject. It's time. I was like, oh shit. So, I think some different events have occurred too, since that time that have probably, caused people to have more questions, or, different people have seen different things. So, but one of the things that you've been doing is building and growing awareness, hi Darius, around, sex trafficking, homelessness, and some other things, right? I know you worked a lot with, some Native issues, Native American rights issues, and all of that. Hi, honey. So I'd just love to hear a little bit about some of the things that you've produced, and what their intentions were, and what you learned doing it, and what we can take away from it that will serve the highest good for all of us.
Yeah, that's a pretty broad question. I'll do my best.
Yeah, well, I don't want to get cut off again.
Okay, so just get it all out now. Get it all now. Just get it off. So, since a really stark experience, so I alluded to the first experience that I had a little bit. I had an outward vision um, when I was in Australia helping out an indigenous tribe, sort of on a one, what I perceived to be like a little one tiny trip. And it blossomed into this whole personal movement of contribution and service. And I saw everything that I was doing, including my life and friends and projects in Hollywood, suddenly go blurry. And the only thing that was clear was what I was doing at the moment. And so, and I've moved since that time into just doing films and projects out of service in whatever shows up in the moment. Traditionally, in that field, most people will wait till a client calls them or they're able to get something funded and then make something. Whereas I just, since that time, just said, well, if I can get a camera and I can get some equipment and I'm, I learned how to use the camera and then I learned how to edit. I just learned all this stuff myself and borrowed equipment at the beginning and just did whatever was there. I just
You're so
recorded
like
whatever was.
galactically brilliant, like that's
Yeah.
why. And you're so such an like adventure, and you're so like willing to like completely give 100% of yourself, to what you're doing and really immerse in it. And I think that's why it happens and works for you like that. It's really amazing.
Yeah, I remain open, and we could all tap into the field for so much, and into ourselves for so much more than we recognize. And that comes with also, for me, the commitment to doing it, the trust and faith, and then the work to make it come to be a reality and to be good and to improve. And so, yeah, all the topics I've touched on just sort of found their way to me. And a lot of them I was just doing to help a certain group or to explore a certain issue, which we would then hopefully make into a bigger project. Just, help some friends fundraise. And I just sort of started mixing my understanding in the corporate space, the startup space, and marketing with what I had learned in my experience with film, and then with the spiritual aspect. And said, well, how does this all fit together? And how can I use this medium to actually really do consistently positive messaging and contribution to the world? There are other people and organizations who have done positive film or a project which helps, but as a strategy, it hasn't really, or a value to the organization, that's been less seen to this point. So I just say,
it does feel different. Like it feels like what you're putting forth has something different about it. I don't know what it is though. I don't have like a profound like statement or word, like, but there's just something that's, I think maybe because you like sort of ensconce yourself into the situation. Am I using the right word? Ensconce might be a word. And you know, so it's like a 360 view of what's going on, but from like almost like, so from like an indigo or light worker perspective, you know. And so that maybe makes it unique, you know. It comes from this like compassionate heart, but it's still looking at like the things that are difficult, or and then maybe changing, like you were saying to me, well, maybe it's not difficult, you know.
Yeah.
Maybe you find a different way of looking at certain things. And I think that's some of the, we talked about you being like very transformative or having very transmutative energy, and I think, you know, there's something to that with your stuff versus what else you might see that's a positive
Right.
documentary, you know.
You said a good point. One of the big advantages of having done everything myself to this point, and working with often zero to very limited budgets, is that I have the time. So the
Yeah.
trade-off is, if someone gives you and, you know, invests in your work, then you usually have a delivery date. Whereas
Mm-hmm.
I was able to sit with people, have been able to,
Yeah.
and really enjoy sitting
And
with
your
people,
control,
and
right?
like,
And freedom.
yeah,
Yeah.
and freedom to send the message that I'm choosing, without
Mm-hmm.
having another creative director or, you know, funder being like, no, this part, no, this part, yes, and I just do what I feel. I co-create. It's a co-creation.
Yeah.
It's like prophetic art. It's just coming through, and I'm putting
Yeah.
forth what I'm hearing and seeing.
Mm.
And also, one of my goals is everybody, no matter where they've been, what they've suffered from, or what suffering they've caused, I look to find the God in that person and
Mm.
help that come through, to
And
help
it
people see
does.
that
Mm.
that this is a person like you and me,
Mm-hmm.
or someone that they can relate to, or someone that they actually see themselves in. Because ultimately, if I can melt away a prejudice, or I can form a bond or a bridge of understanding or affinity for that person or what
Mm-hmm.
they're doing, then that's really more important than any other outcome. For me, it's the most
Right.
important
It's
get.
like the higher purpose of each thing that you bring awareness to. It's at like the backbone of it, or the thing that's at the heart of it, you know, that is the thread through it. But you almost have to go into like each piece, because we do that ourselves, at least for me. Like, okay, so, you know, people go into this, I want to learn more about, you know, homelessness, or they go down the trail of, I really feel it's passion in my heart, the things that are going on with the Dakota Access Pipeline, or, you know what I mean? Like, people, everybody kind of needs to go into those spaces. So it's important that you're touching all of them with that same thread.
Yeah.
And in the sex trafficking, I think there's so much fear, rightfully so. I mean, especially for those of us that have children or young children, and you know, um, it's so emotional, that I think, and there's so much to it. There's such a powerful energy to it, also, because I do think there's an element of kind of like what we were talking about last time. That's spirit of a spiritual nature that is powerful, and has some magnetism to it. And so, you know, um, there's almost this just the service of going into the space for us, right? So that you can bring forth like, what do we need to know, so we don't have to go
Yeah.
all the way down these rabbit holes. Like,
Yeah, that's my job. I get to do the rabbit hole, just watch
because
like
you can.
hundred videos.
Before you answer, Michael's saying your contributions are amazing. Michael, thank you. And Honey's saying much respect for what you, our beloved Michael Matucci, has done serving Gaia. Absolutely. I feel the same way.
Thank you. Yeah, so that's part of my bridge building, and I do immerse myself to understand, and then to help that message reach somebody. So I'm working with somebody. This is another way that all this work connects. Is that if I'm working with somebody, for those of you who work with individuals, you'll, to
Mm,
enough of extent, especially when it's a lot of in speech, is you see the walls come up enough times. You know, defensive walls come up for many reasons. And so
absolutely.
learning how and remembering how to weave the message to somebody's heart, and so that they will be, you know, beyond this space of creating more defense. Like right now we're seeing all over social media, maybe a TV2, choose to know, but it sounds like the Armageddon's going on, you know, like whether you're talking about one issue or another issue and everyone's screaming about it. But, you know, if I'm going to meet with anger, something that comes out of anger, then that's it. It's just going to stay right there. It's hate meeting hate. People say,
It
well,
explodes.
I don't hate. Hate is, this politician or this group. But if you hate what they're doing, then that's hate. So, and it's everything's energetic. So if you're meeting that, it just locks it in. And all this great energy is going, and I learned this from myself, and having felt that rage and injustice of being in these places and talking with people and making friends with people who are working so hard for their communities and themselves and against these odds, and recognizing that, okay, well, what can I do? I can craft this message from my heart with co-creation with spirit in order that it can reach people. And in so doing, hopefully that will inspire other people.
Uh-oh. This did not happen again. Oh my goodness. I'm gonna wait for a second. I don't know if everyone can hear me or not, but last time we started talking about this subject, we got cut off, and then Michael, he couldn't get back on at all. He tried for like a half hour, so we were like, let's just reschedule.